Hey guys, it's Kelly here from Spiritual Awakening Signs. Welcome to this really exciting video. I can't wait to share all this information with you. Today in this video we're going to be going over how to access your soul's inner strength and resilience during times of crisis. So particularly relevant during this really stressful time, we're going to show you how you can tap into those higher aspects of your soul, drawing them down into the present moment and really fully embodying that higher aspect of you. So it's set to be really, really exciting. If you don't know me, my name's Kelly from spiritualawakeningsigns.com, and I'm usually helping people to reduce their awakening symptoms and make the process much easier. And we've got lots of different resources, free and paid resources, that we use to do that. And we'll be sharing lots of information throughout this free video, which I'm looking forward to. It's a particularly relevant topic right now because we're going through some serious global shifts. And I'm definitely aware of the fact that my guides are informing me that this is a time when we are being activated. Light workers or spiritually minded people are being activated en masse all around the globe right now. This is the time for us to step into our power, to access our spiritual gifts and abilities, to access our inner strength, our fortitude, that part of our soul that is absolutely enduring and strong no matter what. And this is the time when we're being called to do that. And I know that so many of you are just sensing that there's something there. You might not know the whole story, but you know that something is about to shift. So do let me know if that's something that you're starting to feel aware of. So this live video is for you if you're feeling uncertain, insecure or unsafe, if you want to feel stronger, more centered and more resilient within yourself. If your awakening experience has symptoms and challenges that are really difficult to manage, if you're finding your awakening quite difficult, if you struggle to ground your energies, and if you want to know how to tap into your higher spiritual self, those higher ascended aspects, those ascended master aspects of yourself, because it's up there, and if you want to tune into the wisdom of your soul at this particular time. So we've got lots of really cool stuff to cover in the video, and I'm going to just give you an idea of what we're doing. So we're going to talk about how to reduce emotional triggering, calm high sensitivity, heighten your intuition and your psychic senses, and help you align with your life purpose. We're going to cover the biggest spiritual breakthrough that I've ever made, ever, and how you can have one too. We're also going to cover the 3 big myths that are keeping you stuck, absolutely stuck in your awakening, to help you move past them, and how to step into your spiritual strength and ultimate ascended composure in 3 easy steps that we're going to lay out for you right now. So I can see some people are coming online already. Say hello, please do say hello if you're on the video. I love to say hi to you guys. Hi to Tanya from New Zealand. We seem to be having quite a lot of people from New Zealand recently. That's awesome. Now what I'm going to do, guys, is if you'll excuse me just 1 second, I'm going to share this video to our Facebook group while everyone says hi. Hi Bonnie. Bonnie from Canada. I hope you're doing well. So please say hello for a moment while we're sharing this video. I want to make sure that everybody gets this information because I think that you'll find it helpful, and also it's a really exciting topic. I just love doing stuff like this. So we'll get this shared, and then I'm going to say hello to everyone. So say hi. Let's see. So I'm not sure how to say it. Is it Viva? Viva, hi, and Letitia as well. Hello. Thank you for joining us. So let's get this shared to the group, and then we're going to get right into this information, and it's going to be really exciting. So I'm looking forward to that. So sorry about this, guys, but it's better just to make sure everyone can join the party and nobody misses out. Okay, fantastic. So now I mentioned before this kind of en masse activation that's happening right now. Hi Tanika, thanks for joining us again. There's this en masse activation that's happening to light workers or spiritually minded people, if you want to refer to it as that, all over the world right now. We are being activated. We're being called to step into our power right now. It's a really exciting time. There's a lot of fear and it's very stressful, but on a spiritual level, it's time for us to step up. There's really cool things happening right now. And I'm just interested to know, have you guys sensed this? Have you sensed that something's about to shift? Have you sensed, you might not know the whole thing, you might not have known that there was going to be this pandemic, but something within you either said, something's not quite right, something is coming, or you feel this kind of call to action in some way, if you've felt that in some sense, and it might only be now that you're realising you felt it for a while, do say yes. Let us know that you felt that, because I'm certain that a lot of us light workers unconsciously have had that kind of bubbling under the surface. We're aware that this is the time for us to step into our power and step into all the gifts and abilities that we've had lifetimes before. It's such an awesome time. So do, like I say, just say below yes, or just give us a thumbs up and let us know if that's something that you've picked up on. So I'll just say another few hellos. Hi to Julie in the States. Lindsay, thank you for all you do. You're so welcome. I love doing this work. This is my joy. Hi to Maya from Sweden, Tamara in the UK, fantastic, and Tanya saying definitely, and Tamara saying absolutely. So I know that you guys are picking up on this stuff. Betsy as well saying yes. We know that something's changing, we just might not know what. There's a sense, I think, when all this began of like, first of all there's the panic, and then there's a little bit of you that goes, I knew something was up, I knew there was something, but I didn't know what it was. So really what we're going to be covering in this video is how to step more into that part of yourself and get away from it being a separate thing, something that you can only access when you're meditating or when you're tuned in, or whenever the moment strikes you. It's like being able to really be in touch with that strong part of yourself, that wise part of yourself all the time. Tanika says, I've been sensing something since the start of the year, made me feel a bit nuts. I'm with you, Tanika, we all feel like that sometimes on this journey. And yes, Julie says, yes, time to be who I really am. It is. It really is time for us to be our authentic selves, which is probably why it's been so challenging for us, more recently, moving through all this stuff and getting to those higher levels of awakening. So let's get into this. I'm so excited to share this with you guys. Hi to Jean. Hello, how are you from Florida? Fantastic. I'm seeing some familiar faces and I'm seeing some new faces as well. So thank you so much for joining us, guys. So let's get into the content, and you can let me know throughout if there's anything you want to ask. There are no silly questions, no matter what it is. If it's relating to the content, do ask. And you'll see me darting back and forth because I've got lots of notes here that we're getting through. So like I say, any questions, just ask. Okay, so the best way to get into this is tell you a little bit about my journey, because you might not know me. You might, but you might not. So I'm Kelly from spiritualawakeningscience.com. And I, like I said before, I help people who are on the spiritual awakening pathway to reduce their symptoms and make the process easier, because it doesn't have to be so full of drama if you don't want it to. You can make it easier. And to be completely honest with you, when my awakening began, I was not doing so good. When my awakening began, I really felt like I couldn't handle it, because I'm sure you'll resonate. Overnight, it seemed that I was completely emotionally overwhelmed. My sensitivity was through the roof. My empathy was really heightened, and I became extremely introverted. And I'd always been a little bit sensitive. I'd always been a little bit introverted, but it really amped up when my awakening began. And if I'm really honest, I started to struggle with everyday life. Everyday life became an unmanageable burden that I just didn't really know. It's like, I don't know how to cope with this stuff. And who can you talk to? There's no one you can talk to usually in your close circle. Even though my family were very spiritual, it's like there's no one you can really talk to. I can see some people are saying same, Emily saying same, Kelly saying oh my gosh, yes. It's really tough. And when that started to happen, I started to think there must be something wrong with me, because I'm on this spiritual journey. I'm pretty sure it's a spiritual awakening. Shouldn't everything be getting better? If I'm ascending and if I'm moving upwards, why is everything getting worse? Why am I really not coping with this process? There's got to be something inherently wrong with me. There must be some sort of issue, because I just felt like I had no inner strength or stability whatsoever. The part of me that was able to kind of anchor myself to the earth and feel like I could cope just seemed to be gone. There was just nothing to hold on to. And it took quite a long time for me to actually realise what the problem really was. It took a long time of monitoring my symptoms and the weird things that were going on, but what I finally realised was happening was that I was ungrounded. I realised that I was ungrounded in my awakening, and that was what was causing the problems. So you would think if you find the answer that your problems would be over. But what happened was I started to use the things that would usually be prescribed so to speak, to ground your energies. I started to use things like essential oils, crystals, meditation, incense, all the different things that people would usually advise that you use to get grounded. And if you're not sure about grounding, don't worry, we're going to go into more of what that means just shortly. Started to use all those things, but whenever I did that, something really weird happened. My emotions would become more intense, they would change more erratically all the time, and they didn't seem to have any cause to them. My sensitivity went through the roof. I was just painfully sensitive. My empathy started to absorb all of the negative stuff and emotions from everybody around me. So I was just like a sponge soaking up all the negativity, and I didn't have any way to get rid of that either. So it was a horrible feeling to pick up all that stuff. My psychic senses were way too highly attuned, so I felt completely bombarded by psychic information. And I was unable to settle. I felt anxious and fearful a lot of the time. Like I couldn't really sit still. I couldn't find any peace, which would seem so odd when everyone talks about awakening, being like, oh, it's so zen and you find your peace. I was not in a state of peace at all. And I felt completely helpless and completely powerless to be able to do anything about it. I didn't know what to do. And trust me, nobody can handle awakening when you're in that type of state. It just doesn't work at all. So I came to a realization. I realised that, you know, the amount of times I was trying this with different grounding methods, I realised that traditional methods like crystals, incense, essential oils, traditional methods didn't work for me. And that was a tough thing to accept. It was like, okay, I'm clearly a bit odd. There's something weird about me. Grounding methods just don't seem to work on my energy. They don't seem to work for me. In fact, they seem to make things worse. It was really bizarre. It wasn't just like, oh, it's not working. It's like I would use some grounding method and suddenly everything would just amp up even more. I just couldn't handle it. So the worst thing about it was the fact that no one could help me, because I knew a lot of healers. I knew a lot of other spiritually minded people. And when I asked people about it, it was all a bit like, oh, I don't know what to do about that. Nobody got it. Even though they were on a spiritual path, I was really completely alone in this. And that went on for a number of years. That was really years and years I went through that experience of not really having any way to deal with it, not having any way to ground my energy, and finding that the traditional grounding methods that I would usually have used made everything worse. They just made my awakening hell. So as you can imagine, I became quite fearful of using things like that for a while. And that was until one day I went to an energy healing swap. So this was like a practitioner swap where you get paired up and you work on someone else, they work on you, you get to practice. And of course you get to receive some healing as well, which is great. And I went to this healing practice day. I got paired up with a lovely lady, and she read my energy and immediately just said, your energies don't know how to ground themselves. Let's teach you how to do that now. I said, okay. And I felt the lovely wave of the energy healing coming over me, which was a familiar thing. It was a nice feeling. And then the weirdest thing happened. Within a few moments, I started to feel a sense of strength, stability, grounded peacefulness in my solar plexus that had eluded me for years. I'd never been able to feel that in any way. It had been like a void that was within my soul for so many years, and suddenly this energy healing download that this lady performed for me just brought everything down into feeling completely settled. I couldn't believe the solution could be so simple. I couldn't believe it. And I can remember driving home from that event and being like, this doesn't make any sense. She just did one download and I feel completely different than I have in a number of years. It was incredible. But what it made me realise was that my energy system just didn't know how to ground my energies. And this is a really common problem that we face once awakening has begun. Because for those of us who have gone through awakening, our energies are so incredibly heightened that our energy systems don't actually know how to reground with those new heightened energies in place. It's like your energy system is just like blasted wide open. It doesn't know what's going on. Once that fantastic lady taught my soul, we'll be talking about downloads shortly, how to do that, it changed everything. It finally happened. I was finally grounded. And the amazing thing was that it lasted. It wasn't like before when I would try things with crystals or oils, and I'm not knocking them. I still love crystals and things like that, and I love my crystal bracelets and things like that, but it wasn't something that was short-lived. Usually I would use something like that and it would either get worse or, you know, maybe it would get better for a little while and then things would tip back over again. It just lasted, so it was fantastic. So that kind of had a bit of a turning point for me, but the story doesn't end there, because energy grounding really honestly became the key to the biggest spiritual breakthrough that I have ever had. It was absolutely incredible, because after that began to happen, after that lady did that download for me, and my energies started to learn how to be grounded, and I started doing that more often, teaching my energies over and over again. This is how you stay grounded, this is what we're going to do. Don't worry, I'll explain how that works. Some really amazing things started to happen. So my anxiety and my overwhelm that I'd had since awakening began suddenly reduced. My psychic and intuitive abilities actually improved. I was able to think more clearly. I wasn't all dazed and confused all the time. I found that I had reduced emotional turmoil and triggering. I was used to my emotions changing all the time, and, you know, things cropping up all the time. That just started to really calm down. And incredibly, it aligned me with my life purpose and my spiritual career. Everything just came into line so quickly. It catalysed uniting with my twin flame, my lovely partner, who I'd been looking for a really long time. It also allowed me to access my inner wisdom, my inner guidance, that guidance part of you that sometimes you can be cut off from. And it gave me inner stability, inner strength, and a sense of resilience. It was really, it was an incredible experience. But I want you to know that this isn't something that is special or unique to me. You can have this too. You can absolutely have all of those things too. In fact, they are your birthright as part of your awakening experience. And I want you to know that it is not only possible for you to have that too, but it's really quite simple for you to put these things in place and be able to integrate it all. And that's what it's really about. It's about using grounding to fully integrate the higher aspects of your soul, really drawing forth the higher parts of you and all those gifts and abilities of your soul into the present moment, so that it's fully integrated and fully realised. You can certainly do that. I'm going to answer some comments because I can see quite a few people are commenting, and thank you for getting involved, guys. I really appreciate it. Let's see. So Emily says, almost through my Grounded Awakenings. That's one of our courses to ground your energies, and it's helped so much already. I'm so grateful to have found you. Thank you, Emily. I'm so glad it's helping you. I think it's really important when we're going through awakening, and I'm glad it's been a good fit for you. Hi to Eva and Deirdre. I can see Emily's been sharing this with someone to say, this is the girl whose grounding course you're on. Cassia, hello from Poland, fantastic. And Deirdre from the USA, excellent. Thank you for joining us, guys. So we've got plenty more exciting stuff to get through. So if there's anything that I bring up that you're not sure about or you want to clarify, just please do let us know below. And I love being able to talk to you guys and spend the time. So getting back to grounded, I'm very, very passionate to share with you what I learned about grounding in that experience, particularly right now, because the meaning of Ascension right now has changed. The meaning of Ascension has literally changed overnight. This is what my guides are showing me. So no longer is it about us straining to reach up to those higher heights, because that's really what we've been doing, particularly since awakening began. What happens is you're trying to align yourself with these higher aspects in the higher realms, the higher, your higher self, the ascended aspects of you, the ascended master part of your soul. You're trying to reach up all the time. So you're doing things like meditating, maybe you're doing some spiritual practice, maybe it's just a natural thing that these things start to kind of bubble forth. But that's really what we're trying to do consciously or unconsciously, which is probably what's happening for you throughout the awakening experience. But it's not about that anymore. The current climate that we're in has changed that overnight. So it's not about straining to reach up anymore. You don't need to do that. It's about calling those higher aspects of you down into the physical body, into being fully realised, completely embodied by your physical presence on the earth at this moment in time. Because really, it's all about now. It's all about this present moment. There's a reason why you're incarnated on the earth at this time, and you know it. You know it. I know you know it. Somewhere deep inside you, there is an awareness of the fact that you were meant to be here at this time. You might not know why. You might not know for what purpose or what it is that you're supposed to bring or do or what your presence is needed for. But you know somewhere deep down, just like you knew that this shift was coming on some level of you knows that this is what it's all about. And it's a bit like, right now it's a bit like we're calling back to times like Atlantis or these fallen civilizations that we have all existed in through time. They're part of our past life experiences. And in those past civilizations, we had access to all our gifts and abilities all of the time. We didn't have to say, hold on, I'm going to meditate for 2 hours and connect with my higher self and I'll be back after. We didn't have to do that. We were in a state where we were fully integrated with the physical aspect of ourselves and the higher aspect of ourselves. It was one. So we didn't have to separate those things in any way. It was, oh, do you need healing? Right, I'll do it right now. There you go. Healing. You know, there was no discord between those two parts of ourselves. And that's what we're calling back right now. It's not about, you know, being so spiritual that it's a completely separate thing. It's about integrating that into who you are so that you have access to some of those gifts and abilities. Now, it doesn't mean that that stuff will happen overnight. It may be something that is a kind of slower progression where it starts to bubble forth and you happen to come across an energy healing course and you think, oh, I'm quite interested in doing that. And that's the way it funnels through. It doesn't necessarily look the way that it did in another lifetime. It's like, okay, this time it's called, you know, whatever healing modality it is, and that's how I bring the energy through. Or this time my intuition, I do it with angel cards. That's how you bring the energy through. So it might not look exactly the same as it did in other lifetimes, but the skills are still there and they'll find their way to the forefront. Okay, do let me know if you're aware of that. Are you sensing that in some way? Are you aware of the truth that this is hearkening back to past lives, past civilizations where we've been more enlightened? Do let me know. Just say yes if you sense that, or give us a thumbs up. I can see that Julie says she feels that. We do. We know it on some level. It's just starting to bubble up. And it might even be that this conversation that we're having right now is the thing that makes you go, do you know, actually, yeah, I can feel that. I'm actually aware of that. Sometimes you need a little catalyst. But Julie says it feels like waiting for something. Betsy says yes, very aware. Eva says yes. Joan says yes. Fantastic, guys. You guys are so tuned in. You're so tuned in. But we're all doing this collectively right now. We know. We absolutely know. It's no coincidence that you're here on the planet at this exact moment. So make the most of this time. What I would say is step up, shine, lead, do whatever it is that your soul feels guided to do. And don't ask too many questions about it. Just follow that inner inclination. I can see Deirdre says yes as well. We can feel it. So step up and do what it is that you feel guided to do. And it might take some time for those answers to come on what that is. That's okay. That's what this video is all about. It's about connecting to that part of you so that information can come forward to you and be known. But like I said, contrary to what we were doing before, it's not about reaching up, it's about drawing down into the present moment. And we do that with grounding. So that's really what we're covering in this video. Is this all making sense? Is it, are you guys following what I'm talking about, how this is all connected to grounding? If you need anything clarified, please do ask. I'm happy to spend the time with you guys. So let me just check. We've got a comment here. Bonnie says, is it okay to do your grounding meditation on the same day as other free downloads you're providing? Yes. As you're aware, my energies are always supercharged. I don't want to overdo it. I totally get it, Bonnie. A lot of us are on that same boat. So what I do want to just mention with that is that I'm saying that Ascension has changed. Well, kind of so has our advice, because usually we would say only one meditation a day. You know, be quite careful with how much energy healing you do. Those rules, you can just throw them away right now. You can pick them back up later. But right now it's about being as present as you can be. And if meditation is the way that you need to do that, do as many as you need to do to keep yourself in alignment. The only time you'd want to take a break is if you feel like what we're talking about in this video is that your symptoms are getting really intense. Then just take a day or two off. But use as many as you want, as often as you want. The rules have changed. the energy has changed, and the guidelines that we would usually give you have changed. So use as much as you like. Also, sorry, this is Bonnie's comment. Also, you've mentioned that the guides mention the downloads work for several days or hours afterwards, and I'm always concerned about too much healing. Don't worry about that, because whenever you do any of our meditations or energy healings, the guides are working with you specifically. So this is the thing you need to remember, particularly right now if you want to do multiple meditations or energy healings, whether it's ones that you've purchased before or the freebies on the page. They are working with you specifically, so they will tailor your energy. It's really unlikely that you'll become too ungrounded doing it, because every time you do the meditation, the guides work with you live. Even though I'm not there and it's a previous recording, the guides are working with you live, and they will adjust the energy to suit you. So even if it lasts a few days more, they'll still adjust it to ensure that you don't get imbalanced. So don't worry about that. It's perfectly okay. Right, so let's get into grounding. Let's help you understand exactly what it means by grounding, because grounding is a little bit different for those of us going through the awakening process. So grounding just really is a blanket understanding, is the practice of being fully present and fully alert, fully in your physical body. And it is vital for a balanced and successful awakening. Those two aspects are really, really important. But the problem that we have is that not all grounding is created equal. For those of us going through the spiritual awakening process, grounding quite often doesn't work, doesn't last, or actively makes our symptoms worse. So you'll see, even with some of the comments that we're having live on the video, quite a lot of people are saying, I'm doing this and it tips me over the edge, or I'm doing this and it imbalances me, it makes my symptoms worse. Grounding is very difficult for those of us going through the awakening process, and it calls for a very specific type of grounding. Now, the usual methods like using crystals, incense, essential oils, and even meditation are going to overstimulate your energies. Now, I'm going to go into that briefly, but we've got a lot of videos on grounding and how it overstimulates your energies and the effects that has. You'll find that on our YouTube channel. There's literally tons of videos on that, which you might find helpful. Now, I'm not saying never use these things, but I'm saying that there are times in your awakening where you may need to really avoid them for quite a time. The reason for that is that when we go through awakening, we experience this high influx of energy. This high vibrational white light energy kind of bombards the body. We get such a big dose of it in one go to open everything up that it really supercharges our energies. Now, that's a wonderful thing, because what it does is it starts to open all our chakras. It brings all our issues to the surface. That's wonderful. It brings all our issues to the surface so that we can totally heal the soul, so that we're acknowledging and aware of everything. It heightens our senses, it heightens our empathy, makes us more compassionate, helps us to tune in because our psychic senses are more open. It's all wonderful and challenging at the same time. The problem that we have is that when you use any type of energetic stimulant, and by that I mean, anything that has an energetic impact in any way, so crystals, incense, essential oils, meditations, even energy healing sometimes, you need to really tread carefully, because it is literally at that time like a flame to gasoline. It literally goes the minute your energy comes into contact with it. And that's what makes all your symptoms worse. It's the intensity of that starts to make the emotions come up quicker, and it makes everything more intense. It makes your senses more intense. It makes your psychic senses open more incredibly. So then you're bombarded with everything. And that's when you get into space where you feel really anxious all the time, you feel agitated, or you're kind of spacey and you can't settle, where you're picking up information that either doesn't make sense or it kind of freaks you out a little bit, it's a little bit uncomfortable or scary. It's all just signs that you're ungrounded, and we're going to go into more of that. So I can see a few people are kind of mentioning these things at the moment. They're just common symptoms that we get. But the question is then, how do we ground ourselves if we can't use those things? Because you're definitely better taking a break. Don't throw them away forever, but you're better taking a break from them, moving them out of your space into another room maybe for a couple of days, maybe even a week if you're really ungrounded. But how do we ground ourselves if we can't use those traditional methods? We use energy healing. So just like that lady did the download for me and it completely changed my experience, we use energy healing because it allows us to program the body's energy system. It allows us to teach it how to stay grounded with all these new heightened energies in place. It's a completely different thing. And the more that you do it, the more that you do that energy healing that's going to bring the grounding in, the more your energies learn to just stay in those positions automatically. So you'll find that you're less likely to become ungrounded as time goes on. You're less likely to become imbalanced with the challenging signs and symptoms. And it's just a much easier process than testing out all these different methods to find that inevitably they, make you really ungrounded. And I must clarify, for the average person, not ungrounding at all. You can use crystals that say they're for grounding, because there are crystals that can ground your energies. It will ground your energies. But for you, literally like a match to gasoline, like I said, you'll have that grounding crystal and you'll be like, yeah, I'm getting all grounded. And then within a couple of days, you'll be like, I'm not doing so good. This awakening is really kicking me to bits. So just be aware of that. So let's talk about signs that you are currently ungrounded, and I would really love to know if you guys resonate with any of these. Let me know if you've got these symptoms, because it's always great for us to kind of identify how these different symptoms affect everyone in their awakening, because it's really very structured. So signs that you're currently ungrounded in your spiritual awakening are feeling highly sensitive and emotional, feeling anxious, panicked, fearful, having extremely high empathy, so you're picking up everyone else's stuff. You don't feel right when you've been hanging out or being around other people. You're feeling completely overwhelmed. Your psychic senses are out of control. They're maybe a bit intrusive. You're not getting to pick and choose when you interact, or some of the things are a bit frightening or unnerving. You might even get physical difficulties. Very common, I had that as well. Aches, pains, fatigue, brain fog are all very common. Do you guys have any of those symptoms? Please let me know below. I know that for me, I pretty much had all of those. I think that I was given the crash course in awakenings just so that I could share all this information, and I really understood it. I really understand it now, so don't send any more. But it was very challenging. Do let me know if you have any of those symptoms. And we're going to get into some myths that are keeping you stuck. But again, I'd like to just address a couple of comments. So thank you for interacting, guys. I really appreciate it. Let's see. Julie's been waking up with bad headaches. All of these symptoms can be so challenging. Cassia says, I would like to thank you because your resources have really helped me in the past week. That means so much to me. I'm just really glad that I'm able to help. I know how challenging it can be. She says, I was close to a breakdown. The healing and grounding techniques were really helpful. Excellent. I also had a breakthrough and cleared a real past life log. It was like a catharsis. Wonderful healing. That's great. Would love some advice on which of your healings is the most appropriate for you right now. Let me just tune into your energies a little bit. I think the grounded awakenings would probably be best for you, because it's going to give you the healing and the grounding. It's a 7-day course. That's probably the one that would be best for you. Either that, or look through all the ones that we have in our school and just feel what one you get drawn to. You'll notice what stands out to you. That's usually the way that I advise people to check out what's right for them. Jackson says, so happy to have come across you. I've been a mental mess. We all know how that feels, Jackson. I'm sure everyone will be like, hand up. I feel it too in my awakening. I feel like my whole life has accumulated to this moment. In hindsight, my hypersensitivity is pushing my energy away out of fear and losing control, especially the past week. It's totally natural to feel that way, particularly in awakening, but especially at this time. I'm so afraid to be around anyone because I don't know if I'll freak out, and I'm really scared right now. Well, I'm sending you some grounding energy. I'm sending everyone a little grounding download right now. Let's just ground your energies and just allow the guides to center your energies. For everyone on the video, everyone watching now, everyone who ever will watch. Because the more that we can ground those energies, and that's still happening now, so just allow that to happen. The more we can ground our energies, the more we move out of fear. So just like some of these symptoms that I'm talking about, that's what an ungrounded energy does to you. It starts to make you feel really insecure, really afraid, really anxious. Just ground your energies back into your space and anchor that to the earth. And everything will be okay. So just sit with that energy for a few moments. So Jackson says, very emotional right now. Don't know how to open and fully let go. It's really challenging awakening, it really is. Cassia says, up until I found you, I thought that the more meditation I do, the closer to a full liberation I am. The only thing I was getting closer to is a mental breakdown. Thank you for saying that. I totally, absolutely agree with that. That's totally what happened to me. The more you do it, you think you're getting more spiritual, you're actually getting more imbalanced. And we're going to be teaching over the next few weeks how you can really step into that energy without having to meditate at all, because it's just not actually necessary. Eva's been tapping, and let's see what else we've got. We've got the symptoms coming up. So Emily said headaches, Deirdre said fatigue, brain fog, I'm not sure how to pronounce that name, sorry, emotional, crying hysterically out of the blue, fatigue, foggy brain, sensing energy on my shoulders, crazy and uncomfortable, lack of control, oh I feel it all, a migraine, feeling sensitive to light, ringing in the ears, buzzing, energy, let's see, yeah, we've got, you guys are totally in with it. We've got dizziness from Tanika, unbalanced, really sensitive to sound, high anxiety, nausea, no medical reasons why, that's usually how it happens. Eva's had almost most of them, waking up with a cold, aches and pains, and Tanika's trying to meditate and calm myself, definitely made it worse. Tanya's got burning hands. There are just an insane amount of different symptoms that you can get, but what I want you to know is there is nothing I have read on these comments that grounding will not assist. Grounding is the key to shifting out of that. It doesn't mean that your awakening symptoms are going to go away because you still need to go through the awakening, and it is challenging. Nobody can go through awakening without it being challenging, but you can make it better. You can make it easier. It doesn't need to be that hard, okay? So we're going to get into some more information here. So let's talk about some of the myths that are keeping you stuck in your awakening. So this might be quite helpful to some of you experiencing really bad symptoms just now. Because awakening doesn't need to be so full of hardship. It doesn't need to be so full of drama. I mean, listening to you guys, I resonate so much with that. It's really tough. It is so tough. No one ever talks about how tough it is. It's really, really difficult. But the truth is that it doesn't need to be that hard. However, if you follow the wrong advice, it is going to be full of drama and it is going to be really challenging. But don't worry, because we're going to talk through some of the biggest myths that would be holding you back in your spiritual awakening, keeping you stuck and unable to move forward. So let's get into them. So one of them we've already kind of covered. Myth number one is that meditating is the key to spiritual awakening. That is untrue, right? It's not necessary. You can, but it's unnecessary. So first of all, if you're already going through a spiritual awakening, then you definitely don't need meditation in order to awaken further or move the process, even higher. You don't need it. You're already there, okay? If you're going through a spiritual awakening, there's nothing else you need to do. You're already there. And secondly, traditional meditation can have a detrimental effect on us during spiritual awakening. You have to really use it with care, and it can often overstimulate our really heightened energies, and it quickens the awakening process. So you would think that's a good thing, but it makes it so difficult. It can make us really imbalanced, and it can give us a lot of challenges way before our systems are ready to handle it. And it can increase things like anxiety, your intense emotions, your sensitivity, and it's just really difficult. So that's the first myth. Meditation and meditating is the key to spiritual awakening. Not technically true. Myth number two is that spiritual awakening is difficult or painful. Spiritual awakening is very challenging. I will absolutely not contest that. Spiritual awakening is very difficult, no doubt, but it doesn't need to be so difficult or full of drama. If you focus on grounding your energies with the right effective methods, which we will cover during awakening, you can make the entire process a lot easier. If you can anchor your energies appropriately for you, for what your system needs right now, you'll manage it a lot more comfortably and it'll be a lot easier for you. So that's something that we can do. And myth number three, which we've kind of covered, crystals, incense and essential oils will ground your energies. Well, like I said before, for the average person who's not going through an awakening, yes, they will ground their energies. But for those of us who are going through awakening, our energies are so different. They're very heightened, they're very volatile, and they're very charged. And any type of energetic stimulant, so that means anything that would have an energy impact, any type of impact on your energy at all, is literally going to set it on fire, and it's going to blast like a volcano, and all your symptoms are going to get a lot more challenging. You'll wonder what the hell's going on. So please be very careful with what you're doing with meditation. I'm not saying never, and I'm not saying that these things are bad, that you shouldn't enjoy crystals and incense and all these lovely things. You just need to use them with care, okay? And if you're really having bad symptoms, just remove them completely for a couple of weeks. Give yourself time to relax down. And it's also important to know that if you're struggling with this, we've actually got a free course on our site that teaches you how to do all this stuff in 5 days. It's the free 5-day course that you can get on spiritualawakeningsigns.com. So check that out if you're really struggling to ground, and it'll teach you all of these things in more detail. So like I said, those types of things, crystals, essential oils, can have the opposite effect. So you need to be careful. So we need to proceed quite tentatively, and we need to proceed very carefully. The best way for you to ground your energies during awakening is with energy healing. So just like I said with the lady giving me the energy download, when it's done by an experienced practitioner, we can teach your energy system how to stay grounded long term. We can teach it how to do that with all the new heightened energies in place and all the changes that we've experienced energetically. And remove any blocks that are causing you to not be able to be anchored to the earth. Sometimes there are energy blocks in the way, reasons why your soul doesn't really want to ground itself. And that means that you're less likely to become overcharged, increasing your symptoms, and more likely to stay grounded and therefore more balanced long term. That's really, really important. And that's why I want to help you to move past the myths and all the difficult aspects of awakening, because firstly, there's no need for you to be stuck at all. There's no need for you to be stuck in your awakening at any point. And secondly, because it doesn't actually need to be that hard. And I know that because I went through it the hard way, and then I've been through it the easier way. It just doesn't need to be as difficult as that. Awakening is always going to be challenging. Like I said before, it's always going to be challenging, and there are going to be difficult aspects to it, but a lot of the myths that we're holding about it are making it a lot more painful than it actually has to be. And more than that, the time that you spend spiraling around in the cyclical nature of it means that you are being held back from aligning with the truth of who you are and stepping into those life balancing higher aspects of you, the ascended aspects of you, and all the wonderful gifts like the strength, the mental fortitude, the endurance and the acceptance. You're missing out on all those things when you're not grounded. So let's get into how to do that. We've got 3 simple steps to embodying your higher self and accessing higher strength and wisdom. So step 1 is to ground your energies. You have to ground your energies so that you become a stable anchor for the higher vibration of your ascended self. If you are not a stable and grounded vessel, the soul will not come down. It will not, those higher aspects of you just won't be able to be anchored here, because you're not a reliable source. If you're imbalanced and if you're always ungrounded, it's like the soul looks down and goes, nah, don't think so. So you need to be grounded first. Step 2 is to call forth those ascended higher aspects of yourself using energy healing. Now, there are lots of different techniques you can use to connect to those higher aspects of yourself, but the fastest and the easiest way is to do it with energy healing, where it's just a single command and you're tuned in. You don't have to sit for hours and meditate and try and find it and wonder if you're finding the right thing. It's just going to do it for you. And step 3 is use energy healing to draw from the higher aspects, draw them down the ascended parts of the soul, so that you can integrate them into your physical being, into your present self. That's the most important thing. So ground your energies so that you're a stable vessel, call forth the ascended aspects of your higher self with energy healing, and then use energy healing to draw those higher aspects of the self down and integrate them into the present being. Okay, sounds complicated, it's not. So we're going to do a little recap, and then I'll take some questions. So if you have any questions, tell me them below just now. Like I said, there's never any silly questions. Please ask away, and we'll answer them, and I'll do a little recap of everything that we've learned. So what we've learned today: spiritual awakening does not need to be difficult, doesn't need to be painful, and when we get intense symptoms like anxiety, highly sensitive empathy, erratic emotions, imbalanced psychic senses, particularly when we get wrong information, that's a good sign that we're ungrounded. These are all signals that we are ungrounded in our spiritual awakening. We also learned that grounding is the practice of being fully alert and present in your physical body. Okay, so being a vessel for the soul. And we learned that effective energy grounding can catalyze a spiritual breakthrough, just like I had. You can have one too. And it can reduce emotional triggering, it can calm high sensitivity, it can heighten your intuition and your psychic senses massively, and it will help you align with your spiritual life purpose. We also learned that in order to embody your higher self, you can use our 3-step process. So that's ground your energies, call forth the ascended aspects of your spirit, use energy healing to draw the ascended aspects down into the present physical being, to be embodied, to be fully embodied by who you are today, right here, right now. And it's not special to me. This isn't just a theory. I've helped a lot of different clients to improve their awakening with these techniques. And the good news is you don't need to go to energy healers. You don't need to train for months on end. It's all done for you, and we're going to get into that in just a little minute. But I'm just going to take any questions. If anybody's got any questions or comments, I will be answering them now. So give me just a little second, and we'll take a little look. So Cara says, grounding for 10 minutes every morning will set you up for the whole day. I'm definitely past the sickly feeling. Fantastic, because that's a real, that's how I usually know that I'm ungrounded. I actually start to feel nauseous. It's a really bizarre thing, but it does happen to a lot of us. Bonnie says, she's had all of the above symptoms, feeling like you're emotionally unstable and physically so sick that she was unable to eat or go to work. This is when awakening really takes a turn. People don't talk about this. It can take a turn into real physical malaise and ill health. She says, I feel grateful that after a year of all the above symptoms, things have improved. Cried every day for months for no apparent reason. I will bet loads of people in this video will resonate with that. Awakening brings that plenty. Ringing in ears every single day and energy keeping me up at night. The ringing in your ears is probably energy download. So even though it's really uncomfortable, that'll be a sign that you're picking up information. I have to get out of bed, can't handle it. Increase in anxiety since the lockdown started with the energy change. That's a tough one because we've got the external anxiety and fear as well. But thank you for sharing that with us. I really appreciate it. Cara says, I find grounding in nature much easier. Just find a tree. Grounding in nature is wonderful. But I have to say, if you are in a position where your awakening is really intense, even being outside probably won't help you. Now, definitely try it because it's always worth a try. But for me, I actually lived in a really rural part of Scotland and surrounded by trees, little rivers and animals, and I would go out walking and I could walk for an hour and come home and still be like, I'm still really ungrounded, I don't feel okay. So it just depends. For some of you it might work, but I generally find quite often it's not enough to really anchor you right down into your body and ease the symptoms. But I do love being out in nature. I'm missing that right now. And it's lovely to see. I just want to say thank you to everyone who is interacting with each other on this video, supporting each other. I love to see that, and that's what I love about this community so much. It's really nice. So let's see. Yep, everyone's talking about nature being fantastic, which is great. It is. It's lovely being outside, and I think we're all missing that. Cassia says, I like the sound of this week's meditation. It's a really cool one this week. I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you. Let's see, Jackson's talking about something might have happened in his childhood that's been suppressed to protect him. Sometimes these things come up. You might find an awakening that things that you don't remember come up. It could be from past lives, it could be from other parts of your current life. It'll all rise to the surface, but what you need to know is no matter what comes up, you'll be okay. This is the healing process, and it's uncomfortable, but you'll be all right. And things will be a lot better once all that stuff's up and out. Let's see, Kelly says, nauseous. I get that sometimes. I didn't make the connection. It could be from being ungrounded. Definitely, big sign. But lovely to see everyone interacting. I really appreciate everyone supporting each other, and that's what I love about this community and the light workers that we have here. We really appreciate everyone's presence and interaction. It's really important, so thank you for doing that. It's lovely to see. So like I said, we want to get into grounding, and the good thing is you don't need to go to an energy healer to get this if you don't want to. You don't need to train for weeks or months. We can't really do that at the moment anyway. You don't need to meditate for hours to access this. I've created a resource that will do this for you literally in minutes. It's about 20 minutes, 25 minutes tops. It'll do it for you. So if you want to get started on that right now, I'm going to tell you a bit about it. It's our brand new resource. It's called the Spiritual Strength Meditation, and it's specifically created to help you stabilize your being, ground your energies, and call forth your soul's higher strength and wisdom. You can use it throughout this stressful time to realign with the everlasting fortitude that exists within your spirit and embody its divinity to be present here and now. So this meditation is going to help you to calmly adapt to the rapidly changing circumstances that we're in, and how to accept these changes with grace and ease. It's going to help you shift from ungrounded and scattered to feeling a bit more centered and stable. It's going to reduce the hyperactivity of the mind. So if your mind's constantly thinking that, everything's going a bit crazy, it'll start to calm that down. It's also going to help you to honour fear without allowing it to guide your decision making. Because we don't want to take fear away completely. It has an important function. It can alert us to danger. It alerts us to where we need to be a bit more cautious. But what we really want to do is make sure that it's not fear that's making all the decisions. So we're doing that in the meditation. It's going to help you to access inner strength and resilience, and it's going to help you to call forth your soul's innate wisdom to support you right now. So it's a really cool meditation. Now, if you're not familiar with our meditations and what they are, it is an energy healing that's channeled from a collection of high vibrational guides that I've worked with for years and years, and they are dedicated to assisting us on the awakening pathway. So they're going to tune into your energy whenever you watch the video. It's pre-recorded, doesn't matter when you watch it. When you watch it, they start to work with your energy. They start to make changes and adjustments for what's appropriate for you, so it's safe at any point of awakening. You can use it any time. It's a bit like a cross between energy healing and guided meditation. So it's kind of created our own little hybrid system. The reason that we do that is because it's very quick. So you can have these energy activations and changes in minutes, literally 20-25 minutes. It's all done for you. You don't need repeated visits. Anytime you want to tune back in, you just replay the meditation. It's very easy. And you've got this resource endlessly throughout your awakening and beyond. And it also means that you're nice and calm and relaxed as well. And it's constantly taking you into a theta brainwave. And that's the state responsible that yogis used to meditate for hours, days, weeks, maybe even months to get to that state of mind, because it was not only deeply relaxing, but it was the doorway to all your psychic senses, all your intuitive gifts, all your healing gifts. So we're training your system into that space every time you do one of these meditations, which is really awesome. It's full of healing, clearing and energetic adjustments. It'll keep you still, present and relaxed during this challenging time. And it's a 2-part healing. So one part is the energy healing meditation, which is available now. And there's an additional free 20-minute live top-up that you can get, which happens next Friday. And if you can't make it live, you can still get the recording, so don't worry. But it's a 20-minute aftercare checkup where I'm doing some additional healing to support you at this time, which is really cool. But we need to be real about it. Is the meditation going to make your awakening perfect? Is it going to make you some ascended guru that is, completely unaffected by the current situation? No. But it is going to help you to connect to the higher aspects of yourself and do that more easily and frequently so that you can tap in. You don't need to sit and meditate for hours. You just use the meditation and I'm guiding you through the process. And you just connect like that. It doesn't need to take ages. It's an instant thing. And you'll be able to do that in minutes. So the link is in the description. If you want to take a little look and see if it feels like a fit for you, you can check that out. And I can see that we've gone on quite long. So I'll answer a couple more questions. If you have any, do let me know. And I'll answer your questions and then we'll finish up for today. And I just want to note that I know that not everyone will be in a position where they're able to invest in something right now. And that's okay. Even if you can't do that right now, we'll still be supporting you. We'll still be providing a lot of free resources to help you right now on our Facebook page, and we're also releasing our resources page every week as well with the updated energy healings and things that we're doing. So you're not alone, so don't worry. So if you have any questions, do put them below now and we'll get around to them. Bonnie says, thank you for grounding us on this video. My pleasure, no problem. I feel it. I felt it and I felt the energy. You do. Grounding has a really specific energy. It's quite noticeable when you finally do get grounded. It's like, it's as if you've been floating and then you land and it's like, oh, right, back down to earth. It's a good feeling. Julie says, I haven't finished the Grounded Awakenings course yet. I put it on hold and I'm doing the Health Shield every day. Good. Would it be okay to also use the Spiritual Strength meditation in addition? Absolutely. So like I said before, the guidance we used to give was only use one meditation a day. That guidance is no longer applicable because it's a completely different time, completely different energy. Use as many of our energy healings and courses as you want to use. The guides will work with you and they will adjust to make sure it is appropriate for you. Absolutely safe to use. You can use them all day if you want and you'll get nothing but healing benefits. If at any point you feel like you're just tipping the corner, you're a little bit ungrounded or your symptoms are getting a little worse, just take a break for a day or two and you'll notice you settle back down. But I think you'll find the guides are really up front and centre right now. They're really taking care of us, so just use whatever you need, get as much healing as you can. The old rules don't apply at the moment, so feel free to use those. Mary says, hi Kelly, finding this interesting and helpful. I'm so glad. Thank you for joining us. Eva says, thank you. Deirdre says, thank you. You're so welcome. Betsy says, the new meditation, does it allow us to get more and more used to tuning into the energy and let our gifts come through? It's not specifically for your gifts. It's specifically for you to connect to the ascended parts of you, so the strength and the fortitude. However, it is putting you into the same state that you would need to be in to access those higher parts of yourself. So the more that you do it, the more that you're tuning into that part of you. And what we did at the end of the meditation was, there's not this slow kind of, slowly you're coming around and you're coming back to earth. It's just like, we've done the meditation, you've got the activations, open your eyes because it's already in there. It's already activated, it's already happening. So there's less of a discord between we're meditating and we're going to that place and then you're coming back to normal you. It's like, okay, we're accessing the spiritual part, open your eyes and you're here. That's kind of the energy that we're working with, which is really cool. Tanika says, amazing advice this afternoon. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. I love doing this work. I am delighted to spend time with you guys and talk about my favourite interest, which is spirituality. And I love helping people, so you're so welcome. Julie says, thank you. Jean says, thank you for sharing this wonderful, inspiring, helpful, loving information. What a lovely comment. Thank you to you guys. I really appreciate you being here. I couldn't do this without you guys, so I really appreciate it. Betsy says, the grounding is allowing us to bring through the high energies down to allow the gifts to come through. Yes, that's exactly it. You've got it. So grounding is the energy that's going to really make you the right vessel to bring the higher aspects of the soul down into the present reality. That's what we're doing. So it's all about grounding now. Ascension now, you want to switch that word out. Ascension no longer is ascension. Ascension is grounding. That's what's going to bring your higher self here. That's what really enlightenment has changed to mean now. Jackson says, thank you so much. It's nice to have these resources and help you and the team are providing. My pleasure, happy to help, happy to be able to help in any way at all. Kelly says, I purchased your Grounded Awakenings download, it literally changed my life. Thank you for saying that. I feel so much better, I can't thank you enough. You're so welcome. The Grounded Awakenings is a really good starting place, and I think for a lot of us, if we can just get grounding sorted, everything else starts to calm down. It's like, nothing is as intense and difficult to deal with if you can just get grounding. So I'm so glad that you're finding improvements with that. That's fantastic. Betsy says, thank you for everything as always. You're so welcome. And Cassie says, understood. So hopefully this is all coming together for you guys. Like I say, the link to the meditation, the spiritual strength meditation that's going to ground you enough to bring those higher aspects through, it's available just now, and it's the link's in the description, so you can check that out. We will be doing more videos over the coming weeks on this topic because it's an unprecedented time. Spirituality has just shifted, like it's just completely changed, and it doesn't mean what it did before. So get ready because things are really going to amp up in a really positive way, and I will be here to guide you guys and let you know, particularly the information my guides are giving me as well, to share that with us all so that we can move forward. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you to everybody who came and watched. Thank you if you're watching later on the replay, and I hope that you have a great day. Bye.